Hey YouTube. Alright, so it's Wednesday. I just got over here to my storage. It's about 5 o'clock. So today, before it gets dark, I mean it's like 25, 30 degrees right now. But I want to try to jack this thing up and get on jack stands. And I want to start disconnecting all this front end shit so I can drop this subframe out of here for the Grand Dam. So I don't want to let this thing sit here too long. And this is like the last piece I need is the subframe. I'm probably going to take that little plastic radiator support piece there. It bolts to the subframe. And so pretty much I got to get this thing jacked up on jack stands, get the front wheels off, and pretty much disconnect the lower control arms is pretty much all I really need to disconnect. And maybe the outer tie rod. And then it's just like 6 bolts and the subframe's out. So that's what I'm gonna work on. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated as I go along. Alright y'all, so I've got half the fucking bolts out. I got those two there, they're 15s. That one there is a 21. And the one up in the very front right here is a 21. So I've got all the bolts out right here. That's the middle one, that's the very front one. Those are the 2 rears. And this is the one that goes on the control arm right there. And then that's the one that goes through the rear side of the control arm. I also have the outer tie rod disconnected from the knuckle. I was trying to disconnect and undo the sway bar link, and it was just rusted, so it broke in half. So that's all disconnected. So yeah, so now I just gotta pull that out just like so. Alright, this side's done. So now I've got to get the other side, same thing done on the other side, and then the subframe will drop out. I've got a wood block on this side and a wood block on that side as my jack stands, because I don't want to leave my nice good jack stands under the car back here in case they come tow it. I don't want to lose my jack stands. So it is what it is. Everything else on this car is pretty much junk. I mean, like the doors are good, the glass is good. Both the back window regulators and motors and glass is going into my mom's Grand Dam. So I need to get those pulled out sometime too. And yeah, I still got to pull the door panels off and everything. But yeah, I'm making some progress. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys. So it's got dark on me. But alright, so I've got these 2 15s back here out. And then this was the one right there that goes through the control arm. It snapped off in there. So that's no bueno. And so all I've got left is that one up there, and then lower the jack. And the subframe will drop. I've already got the struts unbolted. That side just dropped out. It's chilling over there. But yeah, I've just got one more 21mm bolt, and then lower the jack, and the whole subframe, the struts and everything will just drop out. So that's the plan at the moment. So yeah, y'all stay tuned and I'll let you know how this shit goes. Alright guys, well I never did get the subframe dropped out of the Grand Dam. That bolt broke off and it's just keeping it held up, and it was dark and cold, so I just gave up for the night. So I'll get back to that eventually. Hey YouTube, so it's Friday, it's about 3:30 or so. So I got up this morning and I went out to the salvage yard and I got a radiator for the 07 for 40 bucks. And then I got me a Sony Explode radio for 20 bucks. It's a nice radio. And so I came out here this morning before I went and the battery was dead, so I threw this thing on the charger. And it starts up now. But I went through everything in the car and got pretty much all the tools and parts out of there that I wanted to grab. And pulled out the power washer to wash this plate up and replace the seal. And it was frozen from sitting in the shed, so it was all froze up. So I had to use the hose with the little sprayer nozzle and cleaned off the radiator, got all the crap out of it, cleaned it out, got this plate all nice and cleaned up. changed the rear main seal and pretty much just dug everything out of this thing that I wanted to take over to the storage. All my extra parts and everything, all my other tools that I just had chilling in the trunk. So I've got everything in the 97. It's all going to the storage. And yeah, so this is my new radio I got, Sony Explode. Not bad for it. It's better than this little shitty dual. Look at this thing. Whenever I take this off, the screen and the USB stays on the radio. This thing is like so cheap. It's not even funny. And I actually used to have this same radio when I was in high school. And they're not bad. And I don't know if this is the Bluetooth one or not. But some of these have Bluetooth and some of them it's just a CD, radio, aux. But I mean, hell, even if the aux works, I'll be happy. And just to test it out, after I pulled it out, I disconnected the red and yellow in the ground and just hooked them up to my DeWalt 20 volt battery, and it popped on, so I know it powers on. So I'm happy with it for 20 bucks. Cannot beat that. And I'm really glad I got this thing all nice and cleaned up and got the new seal in, so now I can pull the engine for the 07 off the engine stand and get the rear cover on with the new metal gasket. And I ordered the lower intake manifold gaskets and the supercharger intercooler gaskets from ZZP, and the 680 6-rib belt, ZZP belt for the engine. So now that's pretty much everything I need to finish up the engine part and get everything sealed up. And yeah, so I'm going to end up running back over to here to my storage here in a little bit. I already went over there this morning and got some stuff before I went out to the salvage yard. And I grabbed 3 of these rear covers, and this was just the nicest, cleanest one already. And I had to do the least amount of cleanup on it. I think this is the one that came off the engine I'm building right now when it was NA. And because they didn't have any gasket material on it, and that engine had a metal gasket. And both of the other ones I have in the trunk in a box, both have paper gasket material still stuck to them. So pretty sure this was the one that came off the engine. It's going back on the engine. So yeah, today's been a pretty good day. So before I go back over there, I've got to turn the water off and get all the water out of the hose. Because even whenever I turned the hose on, it had ice in it. So I had to use my rubber mallet and go down the whole damn hose and hitting it until it finally shot all the ice out of the end. And then I had to put the tip on. But yeah, I'm going to get this water turned off and get the water out of this hose. And then I'll probably head over to my storage. So I'll catch you guys whenever I get back over to my storage. Alright, YouTube. So I'm over here at my storage with the Prix. I'm just pretty much just unloading the car. I've got to go get dinner. But there's a radiator, the downpipes, all the stuff I got out of the 06 Prix, the other water pump, the cam, the wheel bearing. It's just a bunch of nuts and bolts and another water pump pulley. I did get the water pump pulley put on earlier before I went to the salvage yard. And then there's the rear cover with the new rear main seal and the new metal gasket. And I've just got to get, I've got 2 bolts that don't have the little plastic insert that goes in there. So I've got to get 2 of those little plastic inserts, probably off just one of the other rear covers. They're in that box over behind the creeper. But yeah, I've got all my fluids and everything I'm going to end up needing. Some extra water, some de-icer just in case. Once I get this thing running, still cold, I can throw some de-icer in the wiper fluid reservoir. And yeah, so yeah, I've got to go get some dinner for the family, so I'll probably catch you guys over here tomorrow. Hey YouTube. Alright, well it's Saturday. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning or so, 9:30, somewhere in there. And I'm headed over to my storage. I just got an email notification that said that my ZZP order, the supercharger gaskets and the bell and the lower intake gaskets and all that's being delivered today, which will be delivered at the house. So it's going to be, it says by 9 p.m. That'll probably be around 4 or 5 when they get there. So So I've got my nephew's birthday party is today. So I'm gonna head over here and at least try to get the radiator installed, and then that way it's already in the car. And maybe do a couple other little things that I can do while I'm there. But until I get the gaskets, there's not a whole lot I can really do on the engine. But yeah, I'll catch you guys whenever I make it over there, about 15 minutes. Y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, y'all, so I just made it over here to the storage. So I'm definitely going to have to move a bunch of shit out of the way. But yeah, the radiator should just slide right up in there. And just go right in. So it's not going to be a whole lot. Just getting that set in, clipping my cooler lines into place. And yeah, so and then also I still need to pull the engine off the stand, get the rear cover on, get some RTV on it, get that all bolted down. I still got to get a couple of the plastic pieces to go on those other two bolts. I still got to get the factory or the other eBay headers down pipe off so I can get the ZZP went on. And those bolts, I'm probably gonna have to cut the bolts off. And then I still got to pull the transmission out because I've got to pull this whole side cover off so that I can do the rest of the Transgo shift kit for the 4th gear. And I want that. I need it. So the rest of the kit still in there. So yeah, I've got to get the transmission pulled out. I still got to drop the subframe. So I mean, there's still quite a bit of stuff I've got to do on this thing. I just want to make a little bit of progress. So, but yeah, so y'all stay tuned and I keep you guys updated as I make some progress. So, alright y'all, so I just got my package from ZZP. So there's the new 680 belt. So it was supposed to be for the 2.9 to 3.1 pulley with the full stack intercooler. There's my 2 gaskets. Hopefully these work. See, it only has the half cut out right there instead of that full circle because it goes over into here. So hopefully that's exactly what I need. And then there's the new lower intake manifold gaskets. Nice metal aluminum ones. So now I can actually get the top end of the engine installed permanently and get the belt on. So super excited. So now whenever I make it back over to the storage, after a while, I'm going to have to pull the supercharger, the intercooler, and the lower intake off. I'm going to have to pull the motor mount bracket, coil pack bracket off so I can pull both the valve covers off. Because when I put the rockers in, I forgot to use my new ZZP reusable rocker bolts. And I didn't Loctite them. So, yeah, all the rocker bolts got to come back out and get the ZZP ones put in, Loctited and torqued, and then I can put everything back together. So yeah, yeah, that's what I got. So this should pretty much complete the engine except for the fuel logs. I still gotta get fuel logs. And then I already took the grinder and all my tools over there and the grinding wheels, so now I can clearance that rear power log around the head stud because it's sticking out too far. So hopefully I'll be able to get the whole engine assembled and all ready to go in the car except for the fuel logs between today and tomorrow. So yeah, y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update whenever I make it back over to the storage. Alright you guys, I just made it to my storage. I got all the parts right here. So I'm just waiting for the gate to shut behind me. There it goes. So I'm headed over to the storage. I'll be there in just a minute. And I'm going to get that engine pulled out and unwrapped and start pulling that supercharger and intercooler and the lower intake manifold back off so I can get these new gaskets on there. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright y'all, so I just made it over here to the storage and I got the engine out and got it all unwrapped to the plastic over there. So now I just gotta pretty much just pull all these wires. I didn't stick them all the way on, so I just need to pull all these off. Swap these around the front. Pull these off and let them hang. Alright. Need to undo this. Be careful not to break anything like I did on the 97 this morning. Broke a vacuum line. Just trying to adjust it and move it and keep it up out of the way. I broke it. But I got it fixed, so that's good. But yeah, so now I just got to unbolt, just undo all the bolts on the supercharger. And I pull the supercharger off and set it to the side. And then I'll pull the intercooler off and set it to the side. And then get the lower intake manifold off and set it to the side. And I'm going to have to clean up the lowers down here where all this RTV is, because all that's got to come off because I got brand new gaskets. So, and then while I have the lower off, I need to take this off and wire wheel all that because I have a brand new gasket to go in there too. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to get done right quick. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright y'all, so I already got the blower off. Say all these, I just use my impact, but they're a 6mm. The longer bolts that come with the intercooler. So I just got all those zipped out. There's a metal gasket. And see, that's the difference in these new gaskets versus the old gasket. You see, this has this whole circle cut out. And on these, it's just a half a circle right here. And whenever you set this on the intercooler, see how it just has that little half circle? Well, this ends up overlapping. And you get a space in there. And then you get leaks. So, that was the whole reason in getting these new gaskets. Because they just line up perfect on there. So then the only thing I really need to do is just cut out that corner for the gasket on both of them. One for the top, one for the bottom. I mean, unless the bottom one is already shaped like that, but I don't think it is. But yeah, so that's all I gotta do now. So now I just gotta pull this intercooler off, get the lower intake manifold pulled off, and get those new gaskets on there. So y'all stay tuned. Alright y'all, so I've got everything off and set over to the side. So now I'm just gonna wipe all this down before I put all the new gaskets on. Alright, so now that's on. I can grab the new gasket. Oh, yeah, buddy. Get all these opened up. Give me just a second, you guys. Okay, so here we go. So I've got my new bridge gaskets. Clip into those two holes right there. That keeps those sitting in there nice. This is the rear one. It's a tight fit. Snug. Alright. Now, that one goes on there. And this one goes on this side. And there we go. There's the lower intake manifold gaskets. So now, I've just got to bust out the RTV down there. I got to get me a dab in each corner. And then I like to run a dab going across. Just because that's how I like to do it. So, I'm going to get this RTV opened and get a dab in the corners. And then I still got to clean the bottom of this lower intake manifold. And then also, before I put RTV on any of that, I've got to pull this little rear door off and clean that up and get the new gasket on there. So that way, it's got a new gasket and I don't have to worry about it leaking. So that's what I'm going to do next. I believe this is a 7 or 8 millimeter. I want to say it's a 8 millimeter. So I'm going to get this little cap off here and get it cleaned up. And I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I got the lower intake manifold all wire wheeled. Got all the old gasket material and shit off. And then I also wire wheeled back here and got that cap off. So now I can throw my RTV in my four corners and get the lower intake manifold on. And then I've also got to RTV all the lower intake manifold bolts, which isn't a big deal. And yeah, so that's what I'm about to do, is crack this RTV back open, get it nice and gooey, get some in each corner and going across. And then I'm going to set my lower intake manifold on and start RTVing all the bolts, which I have them all in that bag right there. And then I can start getting them on, and I got my torque wrenches over here in that black case right there. And then I can start getting all these torqued down. I had to look it up to double check, but I think they were like 20 foot-pounds or 15 foot-pounds, something like that. I don't know. I'll double check it. I'll have to look it up. And but yeah, so I'm about to start getting this RTV on here, and I'll give you guys another update. All right, you guys. So I've got the lower intake. I got that all RTV'd. I also RTV'd on around the coolant jackets on the lower intake itself, and before I set it down onto the gasket, just so it gets that little bit of an extra seal. And yeah, so I just put my impact on one and just let it get a couple little ugga-duggas. It's like not torqued at all, but that way it's kind of on there. So I've still got to grab the torque wrench out with an extension and Google the torque specs for the lower intake manifold and get that torque down. And then I can go ahead and throw on this first gasket and see how that's going to fit on the lower intake manifold. And then set that intercooler on there, and we'll go from there. So yeah, y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys, so I looked it up on ZZP, and it says 132 inch-pounds is the torque spec for the lower intake manifold. And then I got on Google and converted that, and it was 10.99 foot-pounds. But for whatever reason, my torque wrench wouldn't go that low, so I set it to 20. And it didn't make a humongo click. Like, this is the click. So, I don't know. I kind of think I did the torque higher than that previously, but that's what it's saying the torque spec is, and that's what it converted to. So it's about double what the torque spec is already, if it's actually at 20 foot-pounds. But yeah, so now next thing is going to be slap a gasket on here. And then once I get all the holes cut out for the gasket, oh, see, that would be perfect if I had that ported and polished lower intake manifold from ZZP, but for 250 bucks, it's kind of pricey, especially when the heads aren't ported or anything. As a matter of fact, you can kind of see it if I turn the light on. Yeah, so you can kind of see the head around the manifold. So the manifold's actually bigger around than the heads. Yeah, that side's the same way. But, oh well. It'll still work. It might not flow as efficiently as it could, but it'll still flow well. So, no worries. I'm going to get all these little holes poked out on this gasket and get the intercooler set on there. And then once I got that, I'll poke all the holes out the other gasket and set the supercharger and start getting this thing bolted back together. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, so I got all the holes poked out. Got my gasket set on there. It's on the dowels. So, and then it's even got the hole cutouts here for the bolts. See, like the heads of these big bolts right here, they stick down, and they have to be able to go in this cutout and this cutout and through this hole and through that hole. And without this gasket and having those cutouts, that thing doesn't fit with the gasket. It won't work with the metal gasket at all. So, but no worries, I've got this on here. So I'm just going to clean up the underside. Just wipe this down. There's some oil and stuff on it. I'm just going to give this a nice quick wipe down and then probably blow it out with the compressed air and get it set on here. So y'all stay tuned. Alright, so I got my little rear gasket here on. I'm about to set the intercooler. I've already wiped it down and I set it on there. But I just wanted to double check a few things and make sure everything was going to be good. I got that on, so yeah, now I just got to set this intercooler on, set the other gasket, set the supercharger, bolt it down, and then I've got to pull the valve covers to do the rocker bolts, which are around here somewhere. Oh yeah, right there. So yeah, I still got to change all the rocker bolts, and then I ordered another brand new set of these bushings here because I thought these were brand new, but looks like the front ones were brand new and the rear ones were used, and they kind of were already smashed. These were still nice and expanded, so I don't know what happened. Maybe these were the old ones off of CJ's car. See, that one's ripped right there too. So yeah, I ordered me a new set of these grommets here. They were like 11 bucks on ZZP. So I've got those coming, and but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and swap these rocker bolts after I get all this put together. So yeah, let me get this intercooler set on here and poke all the holes on the other gasket, and then I'll come back to you guys. So y'all stay tuned. Alright, so I've got the other gasket sitting on here. See how there's no overlap into it? It's nice. So I had to pull all the bolts out because when I tried to lift it up and just put the bolts through with it, it just moved the gasket. So I'm about to pick this thing up, set it on here, and get all the bolts in one at a time, and go from there. So yeah, y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, you guys. Well, I've got the supercharger and everything back on. I just kind of threw the wires back over because I still got to work on the rear exhaust manifold. I've got to take this off. I wanted to try to test fit the belt, and I had that bigger pulley that's over there, the actual pulley that goes on here, and the belt was too small, so I swapped it out with this little bit smaller pulley like I had done on one of the cars. I don't even remember which one I did it on, but I did it on one of the cars, and just put smaller pulleys. I think it's for the Grand Am engine, and yeah, the belt's still too small. It's like barely. I think it's because I have a belt wrap and I didn't account for having the belt wrap. I just figured since it was for the 2.9 to a 3.1 that would be a little bit of room in there. It's like so close. Like when I'm trying to put on the belt, it's just like barely coming through here. I just can't get it to go on all the way. I don't know what else to do, so I'm gonna try to fit it on here again, but I seriously doubt it's gonna work. So I don't know, maybe if I had a 2.8 pulley it would work. But I don't. So yep, but other than that, everything else is on there. It's really coming together. I do still have to pull the covers, so I can't really put all the rest of this stuff on yet because I need to pull the valve covers off and put those ZZP reusable rocker bolts in there and torque them down with Loctite. Right now there's not even no Loctite on them. I just ran them down because I want to get the push rods in and crank it over and see if it had compression. But yeah, so next thing I need to do is get it off the stand and get the rear cover on, which I have sitting right there. But I still have to find one more of those plastic pieces. I found one of the inserts, and it was just laying on the ground right there. And so now I just need one instead of two. So this is the only one I'm lacking for that hole right there. But all the other ones have a bolt with the plastic insert. So just need one more, and then I can throw my cover on. But yeah, I've made a lot of progress. I'm very happy with how it's turning out. So I did still want to repaint the supercharger, but I'm just kind of short-handed. I'm just trying to get this thing done so I can put it back in the car. And I still got to get the fuel logs ordered. And some hose. And I mean, there's still some other stuff I got to get done. But I'd really like to get this thing finished and get it in the car. And even once this thing's finished, I've still got to drop the subframe and pull the trans and finish the shift kit and power wash the subframe. And I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that's got to get done. I moved the radiator and fans to the back of the storage behind the 07. And because yeah, I just didn't have enough room up here for everything. But yeah, so there's still lots to go. Long ways to go on this thing. But yeah, the family, they're over at the house right now, and they've been calling and texting. They're hungry. They want to go get food. And we need to go to Walmart and get some groceries and stuff. So I'm probably going to wrap this thing back up with the plastic for tonight. I'm just going to throw the belt back in the little packaging it came in. And I'm going to keep it because I still might end up using it for something. But yeah, I'm just going to get all this stuff picked up, wrap the engine back up in plastic, get it back in there, stack all the tools back over to the side, and then that way I can head home and get the family, and we can go grocery shopping and go get some food and go to Walmart and go do all the stuff we need to get done before it gets too late. And so I'm about to pick all this stuff up, and I'll catch you guys back over here tomorrow, so y'all stay tuned. Alright you guys, so I pretty much got everything picked up. Just got a couple things over here. I went ahead and got the injectors out and just stuck them in the injector holes. Just to kind of plug them up so nothing's getting inside of the engine. I think the only thing that's not plugged up is just the rear cover and that EGR tube spot right there. It's no big deal. They're probably going to put that on. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap the plastic back around here just so nothing gets in there. But I know nothing's going to get in the heads up there through the injector holes because I got those plugged now. So now the only thing that's open is just that rear cover, and it's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the EGR. That way I can just go ahead and throw this on right quick. And then that'll be plugged. And it's just 2 bolts, and that bolt there and that other bolt, which ain't even on yet. So no worries there. And yeah, it's almost complete. So I'm going to finish picking this stuff up and get the rest of the stuff loaded in my car and get this thing locked up. And I'm going to head to the house, and I'll catch you guys back over here tomorrow. So y'all have a good night and stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Alright y'all, so I'm leaving my storage right now. I'm headed over to the house. I made a lot of progress today. I've at least got the engine like 95% complete. So I'm really happy with the progress. I really cannot wait to get this engine back in the car. I know I've still got quite a ways to go before it's ready to go back in the car. But I'm still really happy and really excited about the progress I'm making. So I still need to get some more time and get over here and work on the Grand Dam build too. But man, I was working on pulling that subframe out the other night, and one of the bolts snapped off. That goes through the lower control arm up into the body, and it snapped like an inch above the head of the bolt, and so it's still all threaded in there, and I can't get the subframe dropped. And I was trying to use the Sawzall and get in there and cut through it, and it's just not happening, not with those old blades I got. So I did find the grinder in the trunk of the 06, and it's over here, so I can use that to clearance that rear power log for that rear exhaust manifold over the ARP head studs. So hopefully I can get that done and at least get the rear power log on and get the ceramic coated crossover pipe on and all that good stuff, and at least get most of the engine completed and just have to do everything else one at a time. So but yeah, I'm headed over to the house to go get the family so we can go grocery shopping and go get something to eat. And so yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, so y'all stay tuned. Have a good night. Hey YouTube, alright, it's Monday. I'm over here at the storage. I got the engine out. I've got this bolt going through this bracket, and I got this rear bracket on nice and tight so I can get the chain on here. I'm going to get the engine off the stand, clean up the rear side for the rear cover, and get the rear cover on. It's right there. And I've just got to figure out for that one bolt. But I want to go ahead and get the rear cover on and get RTV down in the corners and get this whole backside sealed up. and together, so that way I don't have to worry about shit getting in there. And that way I can go ahead and fill it up with oil and actually spin this thing over with some oil in there, make sure it's pumping. And then I'm also going to pull the valve covers off and get those reusable rocker bolts in there, and blue Loctited and torqued down. Got the blue Loctite sitting over there. So yeah, I just gotta get this chain hooked up. I want to find something to put over this so I don't scratch it up any more than it already is. I'll get the chain hooked up and get this thing lifted and get it off the stand, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I got the engine off the stand and I just wiped it down, got all the gunk off like I did under the front timing cover. And so now I've got my RTV in my corners, got my plate here. So I loosened all the oil pan bolts all around so I could drop it down a little bit to fit the plate in there. And you got to get that seal around the crank. So I'm going to go ahead and get this rear cover on with the new seal and get it tightened down. And I'll give you guys another update, so y'all stay tuned. Alright you guys, so now I've got my rear main seal cover on with the new seal, and it didn't come with the installation tool, so I kind of had to put it on and then use this pick and just kind of go around and push it up to where it was going on the side of the crank, and then kind of tighten it down back and forth, and I got it to seat correctly and it's on there all the way. So shouldn't have any leaks from the rear seal. I also got my RTV down in the corners. And then this bolt was the one that was missing that plastic insert, so I just filled it with RTV and put RTV around the bolt. So hopefully that'll do the job. Then I got my 2 bolts in the bottom of the rear cover through the oil pan. Got all the oil pan bolts tightened back down. So I think she's pretty much about good to go. So now I've got that on there. Now I can put this thing back on the stand and yeah, get this thing off the picker, and I can pull my valve covers off. I'm gonna have to pull this arm back off because I've still got to clearance the rear manifold. It's sitting over there with the grinder, so I can clearance around this head stud here, because that's where I'm having issues, is right in this area. It's hitting the back of that head stud in the nut, and it's not wanting to seat fully. So I'm gonna have to clearance that out a little bit so I can get it to seat. And then it's seating here and it's seating over here. It's seating around all the other ones. It's just that one. So I've got to clearance that out. And then once I clearance that, I can get the rear manifold on, get the EGR hooked up. I was trying to put the heat shield on, and it sits like way up here instead of down here how it's supposed to, because this bracket's moved up now and the supercharger's moved up now. So yeah, I don't think the heat shield's going to do much for it. But oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm super excited. Cannot wait to get this thing in the car and hear it run. Most definitely, I'm super stoked. But alright, I'm gonna get this thing back on the stand and off the cherry picker, and that way I can go ahead and get the valve covers off and do those rocker bolts and get those RTV'd and torqued and put some oil in this thing. So y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, so got it back on the stand. It is looking super good. I'm super stoked. Very excited. Cannot wait to get this thing done 100%. Get the subframe clean, get the transmission done, get it all back together in the car. Like, I'm super excited. But alright, so now that I've got it this far, I think I'm going to go ahead and clearance out that rear manifold so I can get it to fit. And then once I can get the rear manifold to fit and get it bolted on, then I can bolt on the ceramic crossover pipe, and then the exhaust side will be done. And then I'll just have to put both of these on. I've got the other one sitting over there. So yeah, then it'll just be all the little stuff. And still have to do the rockers, but I'm not gonna, the exhaust ain't gonna hurt that. So yeah, we'll have to pull this bracket back off, which Got a couple 15mm bolts and that 13mm holding that tensioner on. And those two, I got one 15mm nut right there, and then there's another one behind the tensioner, ran down all the way just like that too. But no worries, no big deal at all. Got that brand new 180 thermostat in there. But yeah, I'm super happy with the progress. So I guess right now I'm going to go ahead and go clearance that rear manifold and get that on here, and then I'll give you guys another update. So y'all stay tuned. Alright, you guys, so I'm making a little progress. See, I clearanced it out right in here, but it's still hitting the head stud right there, and then it's also hitting over here. And so I got this nut on and got this bolt in, and it'll tighten down all the way. This one, it stops right there and it gets hard to thread, and I don't want to strip it out. And then this one, it goes to about there, and it does the same thing. And I'm pretty sure it's because it's hitting over here. So now I'm going to take it back off. I'm probably going to clearance that spot just a little bit more, and I'm going to clearance out this one here some too. And I don't know, I guess I just didn't get that head stud down in there as far as the other ones, because that one's way down in there. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's all good. So it's coming together. It's looking fantastic. Ooh, super fucking stoked. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this thing back off here and clearance out that area some more and this other area, and then test fit it again and see if I can get all the bolts to thread in by hand and actually keep going and not just catch a spot and lock up like that, because I don't want to fuck nothing up. Spent way too much time and money on this engine to fuck it up now, so I'm just gonna take my time with it, do what I gotta do, and I'll keep you guys updated. So y'all stay tuned and keep you up to date with the progress. Alright guys, so I've got my rear manifold clearanced enough to where it's all in there. It's seated fully. Should be nice and sealed up. So now my only issue is I'm trying to get the EGR bolts through there, and there's just like no room to put a ratchet on it or anything, because this tube here, they should have put it up a little further, and this flange is wanting to slide down on me. It's getting in my way, so I'm about to bolt the ceramic crossover on. So I'm going to grab the ceramic crossover real quick, and the new donut gasket. There's a new donut gasket, the ceramic crossover, and that heat shield. So now this should go right over that front, and then this will come back here at the donut gasket and fit there and bolt this together. So let me get this opened up and set up, and I'll be right back. Alright y'all, so I've got the rear all mounted up, got the crossover pipe on, got it tightened down to the front and to the rear. I had to put a nut and bolts through the rear flange because there's no threads on either one of these. So that's something that they did not mention or say anything about. But it's okay, because I had some nuts and bolts laying around and I got that on there. So got a brand new donut gasket in there. It's nice and tight. Got the fronts all nice and tight, snug down as tight as I can get them. So now that that's on, that'll kind of hold that flange out of my way so I can get in here with my wrench and tighten up that EGR right there. So it's kind of a tight fit, but I can get it. It's going to be a pain in the ass if I ever got to take that off for whatever reason, but I'm very happy with it so far. So one thing I might do is I'm probably going to end up wrapping this with like a heat tape, or I might even use some of the exhaust wrap and just wrap around this, and that way it'll kind of keep heat off the supercharger and off this purge solenoid and off the intercooler and all that. So I really don't want to do the delete yet, but I guess you never know. I might end up just doing the delete and buying the plates, just blocking it off there and blocking it off there. But I don't know yet. I still want to try to run it if I can, and if not, then no big deal. But I'm happy with the progress so far today. It's coming together amazing. It's coming out great. Could not be any more happy as to how it's turning out. So, but yeah, super stoked. So, as far as the belt, I had ordered the 680 belt, and it was just a little bit too small. 680, 6 rib. So there's another one. It's like a 682 or 683, and it's supposed to be a little bit longer, like just an inch or two longer than this belt. Maybe not even an inch, but it's supposed to be a little bit longer than that belt, and it's supposed to be for one size smaller pulley. So I figured maybe that would give me a little bit more clearance for the belt wrap. So another $20 belt coming up. I haven't got to order it yet. I'm going to order it whenever I get paid, as long as all my other bills are paid and I can afford it. And I'm going to get that belt and get the other grommets, so that way I can swap those out. But yeah, I guess now, since I've got all the exhaust stuff together, I'm going to go ahead and pop this valve cover off and start swapping out my rocker bolts and get those Loctited and torqued down. And then I can pop this rear cover back on, and then I'll move around to the front and get this bracket off and pop the front cover off, get those rocker bolts done, and then I'll pop the front back on and pop that back on. And then once I get the rear cover back on, I can go ahead and throw on my alternator bracket with the coolant elbows and all that, and get those all RTV'd and get that on and sealed up. And then the only thing that'll be left will just be the power steering pump, which is still in the car. So super excited, very, very excited, making a shit ton of progress. So yeah, that's how it's going so far. So y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright y'all, so I got the rear cover off. I just got all the rear rocker bolts swapped out with the reusable, ZZP reusable ones with some blue Loctite, and torqued them down to 25 foot-pounds. It says 23 on ZZP, but I don't have a digital one. I just have a click style, so I just set it to 25. They're torqued. So now I'm about to grab my big ratchet and was it 24 millimeter socket, and I'm going to turn this over and just make sure all these are looking how they're supposed to. So yeah, I'm just going to do that just as a safety precaution before I throw the valve cover back on. Also, I want to dump some oil in there. So, but yeah, y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated. Alright y'all, so I went ahead and got the alternator bracket and everything bolted on. Got the new coolant elbows on there. I went ahead and RTV'd them just to be extra sure that wasn't going to have no leaks. So got the alternator on there and the bracket. So that's all good to go. And now I got to pull off this belt tensioner and this coil pack bracket, so I can get this front valve cover off, swap those rocker bolts and get the new ones Loctited in and torqued down. And then I can throw this front back together, and man, then the engine's pretty much complete, minus the power steering pump, because that's still on the rack, and the flex plate, because that's still buried over there under the new front bumper. And I can't have the flex plate on with it on the engine stand because it hits these bolts that connect the stand to the engine. So this is pretty much as far as I can get with it on the stand. But at least now it's all sealed up. So next thing I got to do is just get all this off, pull this valve cover, swap those rocker bolts, dump some oil in there, put the valve cover back on, and then I'm going to completely fill it up and top it off with oil and spin it over. And yeah, shit, after that it's ready to start getting harnessed and get all that situated. I still got to put my bar that goes to the supercharger over here. It's sitting over there. Yeah, I got to get that on there, and then it's just little stuff. So, and I still have to tighten down that EGR bolt right there. I haven't got that tightened down yet, but made a lot of progress today. Very happy. So, looks like I'm not going to have a whole shit ton of clearance right there, but we'll get it figured out. I'm super excited. I'm ready to hear this thing run. Oh man, I can't wait to hear the chop on this thing. So, alright y'all, well, y'all stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated as I make more progress. Alright you guys, so I've got the front off, front valve cover off. I've already replaced and torqued down and blue Loctited all the reusable rocker bolts. So now everything's swapped out and I can put the front valve cover back on, get my coil pack bracket and everything bolted back on, and get the belt tensioner and everything back on for the supercharger belt, and get all this thrown back together, and it should pretty much be ready to go. And the engine's pretty much complete except for just a few little things and some wiring. So, but I'm super happy with all the progress I've made today. So I'm gonna get this front valve cover back on and get it snug back down and start getting all this stuff over here put back together so it can be complete. And I will give you guys another update. So y'all stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated.